Eunice Kennedy Shriver. Shriver was born in Brookline, Massachusetts on July 10, 1921. She was raised as a Roman Catholic and was the fifth of 9 children. She went to Stanford University and received a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology. After graduating, she worked for the U.S. State Department in the Special War Problems Division. Soon enough, she became a social worker at the Penitentiary for Women in Alderson, West Virginia, and then the next year moved to Chicago to work with the House of the Good Shepherd in the Chicago Juvenile Court. In 1957, Eunice took over the direction of the Joseph Kennedy Jr. Foundation. The foundation's goal was to prevent intellectual disabilities by finding out its causes and to improve society's attitude towards people with intellectual disabilities. On March 24, 1984, President Reagan awarded Shriver the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which was the nation's highest civilian award, for her work with people who have intellectual disabilities. In 2004, she was honored for her work with the Special Olympics as one of the first recipients of a sidewalk medallion on the Extra Mile Point of Light Pathway in Washington, D.C. Shriver received degrees from 13 different schools and received more awards than one could name. Shriver knew her vision would come true. Currently, more than 190 million people in the world have an intellectual disability, about 7.5 million being in the United States. It all started when Shriver realized how unfairly people with intellectual disabilities were being treated. Also, she didn't like how many children didn't have a place to play. Soon enough, she started holding a summer camp for kids with intellectual disabilities in her own backyard. Her goal was to learn what these kids could do in sports, and not dwell on what they couldn't do. Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. Shriver was a founder of the Special Olympics that millions around the world participate in today. These are the words that are recited by Shriver in the opening ceremonies. The first Special Olympics took place on July 20th, 1968 at Soldier Field Park in Chicago. The crowd was fewer than 100 people in an 85,000-seat stadium. There was about 1,000 athletes from 26 states in Canada. Shriver began to use funds from the Kennedy Foundation, which was started by her father, to make programs for the intellectually disabled. Then she appointed Camp Shriver and helped pay for numerous camps around the country. One day in 1967, the Chicago Parks Department told Shriver to hold a track meet for all the city kids with intellectual disabilities, and she listened. Ann Burke, a guardian angel in the matter, provided $25,000 in funding and insisted that kids around the country should also be involved. Shriver's vision eventually grew into the Global Special Olympics. Shriver was a part of the Special Olympics for about 40 years till she died on August 11, 2009. She stepped up and recognized that people with intellectual disabilities were being treated unfairly. She took God's role and helped the innocent children to be accepted in life. When she gave her home and money up to the people who needed it, she was acting as Jesus when he gave up his body for all of us. Eunice Kennedy Shriver was selfless. After reading about Shriver's whole life, I realized that you don't just need to make yourself happy, you need to help others who need happiness as well. We don't need to sacrifice much to make someone's day. Even though Shriver went above and beyond, we can also make a difference. It makes me happy that Shriver, a woman from wealth and fame, didn't care about all of that and wanted to be involved with the world. She is an extraordinary woman and lived a busy but amazing life. She was very empathetic to those who had intellectual disabilities and treated them just as she would treat her family. Shriver looked at the world as being one big family. She's right. We are. Eunice Kennedy Shriver is a woman of creativity, leadership, and service who works to make a positive difference in the world. All of her works with children who have intellectual disabilities have made others interested, and hundreds of thousands support it today. She made people more aware of what they weren't paying attention to. Shriver saw an opportunity to help others and took it with open arms. When I think of her, I think of a woman who changed the world for the better. She's just one woman. Imagine what we could do together.